A common question we get is, why do we travel long term?
Good question. Why do we do this?
4 good reasons coming right up.
1, 2, 3,
Aloha!
We are Kensho Quest.
We travel to open our minds and our hearts.
Let's make friends around the world.
Well, for one thing, we live in a resort. That's pretty nice. But for reals, our first reason for traveling long term is to world school. Sometimes I say that we world school our children, but really, we're world schooling our whole family. It's hands-on, experiential learning, learning from the places we go, from the people we meet. I feel it makes a bigger impact on your life that way, and it really stays with you when you learn from going somewhere in person versus just textbook learning, maybe learning from a history book in school. And a point with that as well is you get to see the different sides of the story. You realize it isn't just one side story that you may have gotten growing up in an American classroom, that there's other sides to it as well. So it gives us a broader perspective, different ways to look at things. One thing I love so much about world schooling is we're raising our kids to have an open mind, to make friends with other kids from all different cultures, but also to know that people do things differently than we do. There isn't just one currency, one time zone, or one language.
I'm counting my Thai baht.
And how much money do you have?
Well, around 193.
And what are you going to do with that money?
I'm gonna buy a Bakugan with it.
A Bakugan?
Mm-hmm.
And what are those green bills?
These are 20 bahts.
And who's on that?
The King of Thailand, and I do not know who these people are.
Neither do I. And what year is it in Thailand?
2,564.
What?
Ooh, this Bakugan looks cool. It's the same one as Haru's old one. I don't know, but I have some extra in my pocket.
And we're humbled, like all the time, with people that we meet. For instance, one time we were trying to take a taxi truck, and it was just a deluge. It was just raining really hard, and when the truck came and stopped for us, it was completely full. There was nowhere to sit, so the only place that we could be is if we hung out on the back of the truck. And
This was just the two of us.
Yeah, this was before we had kids. But this story just stuck with me because as soon as we got there, it's like 2 guys immediately stood up that were in the back, covered from the rain, got up and gave us our seats. And and they stood out in the rain. And that's just like, wow, just some strangers. Here we are in the middle of nowhere, giving up their seats for some foreigners.
So in whatever country we're in, whatever religion it is, there's always nice people everywhere. And that's just a good reminder to us and good for our kids to see as well. And hardworking people.
Hardworking.
It makes us really appreciate what we have.
Right. And again, that's another thing that really humbles us, because for me, I complain when I have to work 8 hours. But it's common for people, when we're traveling, that we meet people who are working 12 hours, 7 days a week. It's very common. People don't even get a day off unless it's like a holiday or something.
The next reason we travel long term is we just experience life so much more when we're traveling. There's something about being home where it's really easy to get into your day-to-day routine, you're working. For us, we would just go on the same walk every weekend. You just get in this repetitive mode, whereas when we're out traveling and we're only somewhere for a designated amount of time, it makes us eager to get out and see the local sites, go to the local attractions, and it's just more invigorating to be doing new things, new experiences.
So like here, right now we're in Hua Hin, and there's a beach nearby. And we come from Hawaii, so we have a beach nearby too. But just by being somewhere different, it kind of forces you to get up and do stuff. Whereas, even though back home we live in a wonderful place, you just don't take advantage of it as much. I feel like, at least we didn't.
So for us, when we're right here in Hua Hin, Thailand, it's really our goal to take advantage of the swimming pools, take advantage of the water parks, take advantage of the beach, take advantage of the nearby parks, and do these things that we can do because we're here now.
And one of the best experiences you can have is trying new food. So for us, that is a big one. And wherever we go, we try to try the local food. For instance, when we were in Japan, we went up to Furano, which is in northern Hokkaido, and we got to try raw milk soft serve ice cream, which was so good.
That
The
was
best
just
ice
one
cream
of
ever.
many delicious foods we tried in Hokkaido. I would go to Hokkaido again just to eat.
Right.
So that's a great experience for the whole family. Our kids are being exposed to a whole bunch of different cuisines, and us too, we get to try different things. And he says that we walk more while we're traveling and get in better shape, but I think I've been doing a lot of relaxing lately, so that might not apply here. But we do get out and go see places more. And now that we've been doing this traveling lifestyle for so long, over a decade for us, right? We just can't seem to stay still in one place anymore. I'll say, like, let's move home, let's stay there for a year or 3 years. But inevitably, before a year comes around, we're both just itching to get out there and
Ready
get
to go.
going again. So even though we do live in wonderful, beautiful places back home, it's like we just can't stay still very long anymore.
So let that be a warning to you. Once you start this, you're probably not going to want to stop.
Yeah, people put stuff in a storage unit thinking it'll just be a year, but it'll probably change you. One of the major reasons that we travel long term is we can have a lower cost of living while still maintaining a high standard of living. If you watch any of our videos on the cost of living in various cities in Southeast Asia, keep in mind that we personally do not look for the cheapest of cheap when it comes to apartments. We don't try to eat for the very least expensive you could possibly spend. What we're looking for is somewhere that our family is going to be comfortable, that it's going to be spacious enough. We like to have amenities. So we can pay about half as much in rent as we would back home in Hawaii, USA, but we can stay in a bigger place, maybe with an extra bedroom, somewhere with a swimming pool, with a playground. So we spend less, we keep our monthly budget down, but we get more for our money. It's a common misconception that to travel long term, people must be rich, maybe they won the lottery. But truthfully, depending on where in the world you go, where you choose to stay, you can travel the world full time for a lot less than it costs just to live back home, depending where home is.
Right.
And traveling long term is a heck of a lot cheaper than taking a vacation. You can spend thousands on a week vacation to Hawaii, or we could take that money and live a month or two somewhere else. So instead of going on vacation, we just travel all the time.
Yeah. Let me give you an example of right here where we're staying in Hua Hin compared to a week vacation for a family of 5 in Hawaii.
Finally, we've chosen to travel while we still can, while we're still fairly young. I saw too many people waiting until retirement, dreaming about how they were going to travel once they were retired, only to find out the reality of once they did retire, maybe they were ill or their body just couldn't handle it. They were too tired. For one reason or another, their travel dreams just didn't come true. And so we realized it's better to do it now where we can really enjoy it, where we can be active. We also like to show that it's possible to travel with kids. You don't have to settle down and be stationary just because you're a family with children.
Right. And as far as kids go, this may sound crazy, but we actually think it's easier to travel with them while they're really young.
Yes.
Because
yes.
when they get older, they may not want to do this anymore.
It gets harder as they get older. They get more attached to other people and places and their certain style of life. So
Right.
with each of our kids, we've traveled with them when they were a 1-year-old toddler. And we personally really like that age because wherever mom and dad are, wherever the family is, that's just home to them. And a 1-year-old toddler will totally go with the flow. So yes, we like traveling with them when they're young. And we also do feel that even young children benefit from this lifestyle.
Absolutely. And like Heidi mentioned they're kind of born into this. So because of that, this is what they know. And since it's what they know, they're comfortable with it. And I think they'll always be comfortable with it because of that.
Yeah, going on an airplane is never a big deal to
Right.
our kids. I mean, it's worse to take them in a long ride in a vehicle than to go on an airplane flight. So things that other people worry about, like how am I going to fly with a baby or kids, or, you know, it just is normal to our kids.
Hard to believe, but yes, normal. And right now, even though it is the time of COVID, it's a great time to be traveling long term.
Tourist destinations are less crowded. The beaches are so much emptier. The place we're staying, we got an excellent deal on because they hadn't really been renting it out before we came along. And if we want to limit our exposure, you know, we can stay home in our resort with a swimming pool. It's not so bad.
Right. So because nobody's traveling, it's safe to be traveling. There's less people out there, like Heidi said.
But even given all those wonderful reasons that we do choose to travel long term, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I can give you a whole list of the downsides of long-term travel. I think we'll do that in a separate video. Let us know in the comments below. Are you considering moving abroad? Are you thinking about traveling long-term, world schooling? What possible ups or downs are you curious about? And while you're here, why don't you go ahead and watch our day in the life living in Phuket, Thailand to give you a little taste of what it's like when traveling full-time as a family.